Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the Know Your Gear QA live podcast. Let me go ahead and, since we had some technical difficulties, let's pull up to see if I have the correct live stream now. And I'll do that real fast. Just give me a quick second here. And while everybody jumps back over, I don't know what happened. Something happened with the software and it was acting up. So, okay. What I need is the new this. Okay, here you go. This will just take 1 second. Okay, I just want everybody to have the new link. All right, anyways, okay, so sometimes, hey, almost 300 episodes, you're going to have technical difficulties. Let me go back to my screen. Can I even see my screen? I can. There we go. All right. Okay, you guys can see me. I can see you now. Everything seems to be working, and there you go. If you guys did a super chat on the other stream, don't worry. I still have them. Like I said, they don't go anywhere, so that's easy to do it. All right. Okay, so hopefully everybody's having a good week. I have a lot of cool stuff to talk about, so it should be fun. Let me wait a second, and we have, as always, I want to mention that if you have a green, if your name's in green and you have an avatar, that means you're a member and you just support the live show like our patrons do. So thank you to you and the patrons and to everyone who hangs out live and everybody who supports by just giving a thumbs up or subscribes. All those ways support this endeavor, and I appreciate it so much. And then if you see a blue name with a green, blue name with a blue wrench, that means they're a moderator and they're here to help keep the chaos under control, or at least they try. They do try. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff to go over. I'm going to get right into questions and right into stuff. I have some subjects and stuff to talk about, but we'll get right into some early questions. And the first one, what's the first question? Okay, so the first question, there was 2 or 3 people, 4 people had posted this question, so I kind of merged them together real quick. Aaron Adams was one of the people who left a question, and basically he says, "Hey Phil, any thoughts on the Solar Guitars chug pedal?" And then there was another question that says, "I feel like everyone released a pedal this week." And then another question was, "What was with the flood of Rev, Chug, SLO, LPD? It's like everybody released a pedal this week, especially the metal pedals. So many choices. Which one would you pick?" And so, what's funny about that is I mentioned a couple episodes ago that fourth quarter this year, you're going to see a flood of new gear. Because so many companies were holding back product development because of the fact that they had supply chain issues, or they couldn't they couldn't get to the stuff they already had built and designed and get that shipped out. So why kind of bring in new stuff? And of course, hey, the market's softened a little bit, so now it's kind of let's build some excitement and sell some new gear. And new gear sells excitement. That's it's like a shiny new lure. It's like everybody needs a shiny thing. That being said, I have not checked out any of the pedals other than the SLO pedal. I've said this 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 times more. If in most cases, if a company is sending me a new product, in other words, like like the PRS pedals or the SLO pedal, or what have you, whatever the new thing is. If I got an early release, and I'm not trying to disrespect any companies, so just this is the reality of it. So it's like they got to know this, because I know this. If you see me, or if I'm saying that if you see my channel, this is with a new product, trust me, 50 other channels got it before me. Like I said, I'm not usually a first draft pick for the let's make a marketing wave of product on YouTube. Usually, in my experience, other than maybe a situation where I have a friend who owns that company or runs the marketing side, which is sometimes true but not very often, usually the logic is, like, hey, we need 100 channels, and they go through all the channels, and then they're down to the bottom. They're like, Phil McKnight. So I'm very aware of that when I do those. I try not to be part of the marketing blitz things, as it doesn't really do anything for my channel. It kind of actually dilutes things, dilutes dilutes things. It dilutes things. Usually I lose subscribers. And you don't get many views because it's like everybody's got a video, and I don't tend to post first. That's for sure. So I tend to post halfway through the thing, and I've now had a couple. So SLO was a great experience. They're great guys. I love Stefan and the guys, and I love the Soldano stuff, and that pedal is fantastic. So I have no problem with that. But I've had some recent issues with companies where I was part of the original marketing thing, and I guess I'm just not very good at it, is what I got from them. Because I think they, I don't know what they want. I don't know what they want. It doesn't matter to me. How about that? So yes. So to answer your question, I have not checked out the Chug. I have not tried the Rev new pedal that I think Glenn Fricker did. That pedal is what I thought I understood, and I haven't checked any other pedals out. What I will tell you is a piece of advice is this. I will give you the piece, as always, I will give you the piece of advice that I follow, even if it's a bad idea. If I follow it, I follow it. In this case, I don't think it's a bad idea. Whenever a new flood of product comes out like this, and you're not sure which way to go, but I gotta buy something, juices are flowing, because let's be honest, that's what that does, right? It's just like anything. It's just like anything. It creates a lot of excitement, and you got a lot of stuff going on. I always remind myself that there's a lot of great older gear that I still want, and maybe I should take that money and funnel it that way. So for instance, let me give an example. If there was 10 new pedals or 5 new pedals in the market, and I'm like, which one do I get? It's overwhelming. Well, keep in mind, over time, there'll be used ones. The prices will change, unless it's a limited edition kind of thing. There's always something back in the day that you could go back and go, I never gave this other pedal that people still like. And what's great about that is, here's why. When stuff's new and shiny, that's all we can say as a review channel. Like the SLO pedal, it's great. I think I got a month with it, so I was pretty familiar with it. I'd shared it with my patrons well in advance, as I sometimes do, and and told them it was coming. And I really liked it. It's a really cool pedal. In fact, I think I liked it better than the actual Soldano head. But if you're asking me, like, would I get rid of the Soldano head? No, I wouldn't do that. I'd get rid of the pedal first, just because I already have the Soldano head. But I really like the pedal. I think it has a lot of features. Some people asked me if I would A/B it against the head. There were some channels that did that, so you can watch that. Me, I can tell you, I A/B'd it, not like an official review capacity, but I was A/B'ing it. They're different. They're just different. And for everything I can tell you that I like about one or the other, I can basically tell you that I like the pedal that was I thought it was a little fuller sounding, but I thought the amp had more attack, kind of more bite. So that all being said, like I said, you could go and check out and look at older pedals that are cool and do that. There's a lot of great older pedals. Or, put the money into something you really want, because that's sometimes where you lose a little focus, right? That's the whole thing of this. And I want to thank you guys for this, so you guys know, a lot of times, if you guys know, my official policy back in the day was I wouldn't be part of any kind of, if a company, because companies reach out and they say, hey, we're going to send this to you, we're going to send a bunch of them out, kind of, a lot of companies are up front. Some companies don't. Some companies are, they kind of allude that it's special, that it's you, but some companies are pretty upfront that it's going to be a mass blast thing. I used to not participate in them. I'm always willing to hear your feedback. Literally, I did a video that was controversial saying I wouldn't do them. And that was my policy on that, or my personal, I want to say my policy, that was my personal decision. However, the majority of viewers said that, you didn't like that policy or that decision because you felt like, you like this channel and you'd like to see what I have to say about it when you're watching 10 other or 50 other channels talk about it too. So I don't know. But like I said, I'm open to not doing it ever again. I'm open to doing it again. You guys let me know what you think. Personally, I don't really consider my channel a marketing arm, so I don't really care. And just like with the SLO pedal, I wasn't paid to do that video. So there's no real big incentive on that. I mean, I get to check out the pedal. Don't get me wrong. There are some incentives there, but I'm talking about as a channel. There's not incentives. Mostly like the SLO pedal. Most of my incentives in that were personal nature. Like I wanted to check out the pedal, and you guys seem to like it when I'm first on deck to get some new gear versus when I normally get it 6 months after it come out. So, so let's see. All right. So that's how I feel about the pedals. And again, just I guess the personal reminder is you can always check out old gear and buy old gear, the proven, tested, crazy, awesome gear. And you don't have to, that way you're not buying into hype if that's something you're concerned about. Or if it's just like I said, you're at option paralysis. You're like, I don't know which one to get. Then don't forget, you had things you wanted before and you couldn't justify those purchases. And then you, at a whim, buy a new purchase. Maybe you should go back and look at your older ones that were probably more centered in based in some sensibilities. What am I reading here? Oh, okay. This also tied into this. Michael Rosa says, "Hey Phil, happy Friday. So do you think the amps in a box, which he's talking about like, the MXR 5150 or the Freeman BE or the Soldano SLO pedals, stuff like that, amps in a box will become the demise of tube amps?" That's one part of the question. I think there's more. You can buy all three of the UA amp in a box for less than a price of an original amp. What do you think? No, there's no way. Like, you gotta understand, do I think you could buy amps in a box and be totally happy with them? Absolutely. Do I think they sound good? The majority of the ones I've played sound fantastic. I've personally decided on a couple times. I don't own a 5150 amp anymore. I love that amp, but I have the MXR pedal. I don't own the JCM 800 style amps anymore from Marshall. I had a full size in the studio. I got rid of them because I have the pedal. Because for me, those weren't amps I used very often, and I had other amps that sounded to me very similar, and I was kind of like, okay, how many amps am I going to really have? And then, but the reality is that sometimes you just get it in your head. You're like, oh man, I really miss that JCM 800, or oh, I really miss that 5150. There were some cool things about it. I like having a pedal to plug in and kind of get it out of my system. Plus, those pedals sound great. So there's that. But if you're asking me, like, will they kill tube amps? I don't think so, as they'll be the killer of tube amps. Yes, all these things accumulatively are hurting the tube amp market overall. Ultimately, though, I think, like I said, I stand by my original statements, which I've been sticking with for years, which is I think the future of tube amps are soon, like a lot of things, they'll be a premium product. They're already kind of going that way now, where they're high-end tube amps that are really, really good. And then after that, instead of what we've had for years, which is like a midline tube amp series and then a cheaper tube amp series, I think the cheaper series will kind of go away, or maybe the midline will go away, or both. But either way, I think we'll kind of like, you'll either have to pony up a lot of money, thousands of dollars for a quality, kind of legitimate tube amp, or you'll go to some kind of amp in a box pedal, or some kind of software, or some kind of, profiler, or some kind of modeler. I think that's the future, because those things are so close. And to be honest, when I'm kind of playing what I would consider a entry-level tube amp, a tube amp that just basically has all the basics of the sound and has some tubes in it, sometimes I even, me personally, if you ask me like, like that Amplified Nation Dumble clone amp, if you ask me like how close does the software get on a Dumble clone to that amp, not very close, but good, but not very close, right? Kind of like, it's good. It's playing the part, but I mean, I would never pick the software over the amp. However, if you gave me like a $500-ish tube amp that has a lot of, either digital or solid state components in it, and it's a decent sounding tube amp, it's not amazing by any means, then I'm down to like it's a little better than software. And at that point, it makes more sense to just go software. Plus, the thing that you have to remember with tube amps, which is why I like to always talk about the passion part of this world, which is we love amps, we love guitars, we love pedals, we're musicians, that's who we are. And then there's a pragmatic kind of like, okay, it's money, and we all have to make money, and we all have budgets, and I think things like tube amps will become collectible, they will stay collectible, that's what they'll do, just like pedals and guitars have become collectible, and digital stuff tends to never be collectible. So, that's not a dig against it. It just changes how you see it. I am meeting more and more people every day. I used to know a dozen. Now I feel like I know 100 or 200 friends that have really nice amps, but then don't use them. They're almost like, they build museums, shrines to these amps. I'm guilty too. Guilty too. But like a shrine, like you go over and they're like, these are my amazing amps. You're like, wow. And you go, want to jam? And they're like, yeah, let's plug in right here to my software. Right. And next thing you know, you're plugging into, because you're recording something. Let's record something. Okay. And you're literally like, everything's interfaced out. Everything's like, you're just not using the tube amps other than to just have that moment where you're sitting next to somebody and you go, play this. And you go, man, that sounds really good. Hey, let's go make some music on some practical gear. So, and that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Matt Harrison says they're furniture now. Yeah, they're better than furniture. They're art and furniture. So they are functional for what you need, and they're beautiful. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I look at a pedal, I look at an amp or a guitar. Sometimes I can't help but see something that I just want to stare at for hours. I used to just stare at pictures of them when we look in guitar magazines. I would just stare at these things. And to me, they were like the pictures were the art. So now it's like 3-dimensional art. You can interact with it and use it. So there you go. I don't know. All right. Okay. This isn't a question. This was a subject. I got asked by a couple of you. Did you see that Reverb, the website that sells product, Reverb has updated this year's best selling list of guitars? And, do you want to talk about those? Yeah, we talked about them last year. Let's talk about this year. It's easy content. Here we go. All right, this is what it is. Reverb reveals the best-selling guitars of 2022, even though 2022 is not over. And the biggest part of selling of 2022 happens now. And there goes any relationship with Reverb, guys. Okay, so yeah, I mean not to be sarcastic like that, but it is kind of funny. Even when I read this, I'm like, wait, is it 2022? Isn't it still then? Look, at this point in my life, I have to ask somebody almost every day what day it is. Hey, is today Wednesday? Now I'm like, is this 2022 still? So did we already finish the year? Because I have a lot of stuff to get done before New Year's Eve. And okay, so 2022, they're calling it. So, in their defense, I was going for more of a joke. I do lists every year of like a kind of like a recap of my year. And a lot of times they're in December and they're like December 15th or December 18th. And they tend to be a year later. So I just go kind of like a calendar year or not calendar year, but like a fiscal thing, kind of like, okay, here, I did it last year at this date. So maybe that's why they did it last year this time. So let's do that. So back to this. Okay, so they're going to tell us what all the cool guitars are that we all bought. And I still have the same problem I had last year with this list. So let's go over the list, shall we? And I read this article twice. If anyone could please tell me if they're finding this information that I'm missing. Because I'm missing, seems to be a very generically written article in the idea of the information that's given. And I think, is it because, I never thought, now I gotta look, Reverb top 100, or no, it's top sellers. Okay. So I'm curious to see, I didn't think maybe we should go to Reverb's site and not look at somebody's reposting of their thing. Does anyone know where the original article is? Because here's what's missing in this article. It says sales, right? If you guys, anyone could do, do me a favor, since we're live, let me go to the actual article. I'll stay on task. And in the meantime, if somebody can send me the link, maybe we can find out the question I have. Here's the question I have, as I go back to me again. The question I have is, it doesn't say new, it doesn't say used. I'm assuming it just means sales, period. Like if it's sold on their website, they're counting it. So, if it sells for, right? So a used guitar sales or a new guitar sales, then it's 2 sales, right? That's how Adrian says, Silver Sky, number 1, impossible. Is it impossible? Is it? Because I think I could crack the code, but of course I could be totally wrong. So let's start in case, unfortunately, I'm totally wrong. This is not, so when we're live and we're doing this show, that's the part of the excitement of the show is it's in real time, honest opinions to honest things I'm reacting to. It is not 5 hours of editing and reflecting and researching. Okay. So the reason I'm saying is there's some of the stuff I can say is wrong, incorrect. That's why I try to stay more on my opinion and less on the factual stuff because I don't know the facts. But here is what I think I'm missing from this, okay? if they are counting sales, in other words, total sales, you can understand this isn't like Sweetwater saying, okay, we sold the Squire Affinity in white was the number one selling Squire of the year. They would literally go, okay, we sold this many units. Reverb could be actually counting transactions. And that's where I couldn't find in this article that. So if there's an original article from Reverb somewhere, if somebody has the link, can you send it to me? Or can you guys scan through it to see if you can find that? If it's saying, if they're disqualifying, like we only counted new sales or we counted new and used, but we didn't count the same serial numbers of the same transactions. So here's why. All that disclaimer to get to this. In fact, when I timestamp it, it was timestamp it right here. And so I'll say, hey, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, but you should listen to the disclaimer. Okay, let me go back to it. Here's my thought. Okay, so the list before, number one selling was the Paul Reed Smith SE Silver Sky. That kind of makes sense. It kind of bursted on the scene this year. However, the next one was the Fender Player Strat. Great. Fender American Professional 2 Stratocaster. PRS Silver Sky John Mayer Signature. Again, number 4. And then I just want to do top 5 right now. And then Fender Player Telecaster top 5. Now, if this is Reverb telling us these are the number one selling transactions, see how a word can change what something means? It's, they're saying sales, right? Okay, hold on. Somebody sent it to me. Let's see. I'm going to peruse the information. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to read it. All right, so this is where we'll timestamp it. Thank you for sending this to me. It says, note, all rankings are determined by total order count. That is the actual number of items sold, not the total price of items sold. Releases that were exclusive to Reverb, not affiliate. Okay, so I'm reading this as exactly what I'm saying. They're giving us total transactions. Okay, that's important because now all these numbers make sense and they might tell a different story than you think. Possible, okay? As you guys know, sometimes I get like hammered by... Not you guys. By the way, I'm not worried about trolls. I get actual companies up my ass about stuff, and everybody it's a butthurt. It's a butthurt industry sometimes, and so I always, even with my disclaimers in the front of saying, hey, we're gonna have this conversation. Sometimes it's still not gonna make people happy. So that being said, I have a thought, and it goes like this. Okay, so basically from what that I read, what I'm getting from this is that Reverb's telling us the total transactions. I like the word transaction better than sale because a transaction is more of a every time something happens, right? Like you could sell a guitar, but you can trade the guitar back in and sell it again. That's 2 sales. See the transactions, right? So what I'm getting at is where's it at? Is what if this is the number one selling guitar because so many of you guys and us bought it and then sold it, and then somebody else bought it and then they sold it, and then somebody else bought it and they sold it. And here's why I say that. I like the Silver Sky a lot. I mean, it's a great guitar. I've had a SE and I've owned 2 of the USA models, but I currently do not own a Silver Sky. Reason why is as much as I like it, like I said before on the podcast, it's really made for John Mayer. And I thought the SE was a little nicer than the, for me, specifications. I liked it more than the Core. But to be honest, at the end of the day, I go, do I really want to play John Mayer's guitar? Not because I have a problem with the artist. I'm a huge fanboy of John Mayer. So I have an Eddie Van Halen guitar. But here's the difference with my Eddie Van Halen guitar or my Nuno Betancourt guitar. I really like that guitar. It really fits my style, me as a person. The John Mayer, I kind of realized like I like John Mayer. And therefore, because I like John Mayer, I like this guitar, and I kind of like the idea that it's a Silver Sky, or it's a PRS Strat kind of thing. But I've just never really bonded with the fretboard, and there's a couple of things I just didn't bond with. And overall, I don't have them. And what I ended up selling them for is I got that Fender Custom Shop. And so I go, hey, before I own this totally expensive artist model that I'm not totally in love with, why don't I get a Custom Shop Strat that is really in tune with something I want? So I did that. What I can tell you is so many of you did that too. So is it the number one selling guitar, or is it the most transactions happened? In other words, so many players bought and sold them. So it's just that's a good thing. So, it's not a bad thing per se, but it is a different story when you think of it that way. It's literally, hold on a second. I got to get back to my main screen. Okay, here it is. Okay. It's a different story when you think of it that way. It's essentially the guitar is just getting flipped a lot. And then if you look at some of these guitars, that kind of makes sense too. A lot of guitars are just getting flipped. When I see another thing that I saw on here, go back here. Like here, number 18, Squire Paranormal Baritone. Well, this would also make sense because this is another kind of guitar that guitar players get and try and then don't bond with. Again, that's not what I'm saying is happening here. This is the discussion. The discussion is, this is possible, right? That a lot of this list is actually not so much like a, wow, these are the best selling guitars. It's, wow, these are the most transactions. So these are the most guitars that get people like, this would actually tell a story like, wow, the hype machine was at full throttle this year. I mean, my SE Silver Sky video was heavily watched. It was one of my most watched videos this year. So, I mean, obviously, and I saw the affiliate links. It went crazy. They, sold tons of them off that video. There was tons of other channels doing that well, and you guys got them. And of course, hey, let's face it, I'm no different than you guys. Sometimes my guy's Pete Thorne, though. Pete will end up doing something and I have to buy something because of Pete. But either way, it's the same thing. I get it. I was excited when I watched the video. I'm excited when I have it. And then the honeymoon wears off and then I'm like, why don't I flip it? And so these are not so much the best-selling guitars in the idea that people want them the most. They might be the best-selling guitars because they're the most tried and they just don't stay. They're not sticking with guitar players. That would be something I'd really love to see if Reverb could really get in and identify. I just don't know, but that's my thought. And I talked about this last year, the same thing, because remember the Silver Sky was like number 1 last year or something like that. Yeah, I mean, you see the Tele was like, blame Pete. That's the new t-shirt. Yes, I will get a shirt that says blame Pete. I promise you. So yeah, there you go. I mean, that can make sense. Like I said, the list makes more sense when I think of it that way to me with my thought and experience. I mean, the SE Custom 24 was a big hitter. The CEs are a big hitter. Again, I don't have my CE anymore. Jazz Masters are another guitar you see a lot of players try, but they don't stick with. So this list kind of falls in that. There's a couple that I'd be shocked to see getting flipped, like Gibson's standard 60s and 50s. But again, if this is really going off the new standard 60s and 50s, let me tell you, somebody asked me, and I'm going to do a video about it, why I got the new gold top that I got that's a 2008 and why I've been looking for so long. It's 7.8 pounds. If you look at 2008, you can go 2005, 2006, 2007 as well. But 2008, there's something about 2008 Les Paul classics and standards that I like, where you can find them, and they're chambered, of course, or weight relief, but you can find them in the 8 or under pound range, and they have a C shape, which is why I'll do a deep dive video on the guitar to explain this. More of a C shape to the neck, even though it's like the thickness of a 60s neck. It's not the U, it's not the flat U kind of shape that I identify as 60s Les Paul with. It's the 50s carve, but small like the 60s, or small like 60s. Actually feels almost like a Fender Strat to me. And I've always loved them, but I've never come across ones in their gold. You always come across all the other colors. So that's why I was after that. The new 60s Les Paul standards and 50s, when I pick them up, I love them, but they're all 9-10 pounds. I mean, sometimes more. They're heavy. So again, a lot of players, in my experience selling guitars to players, a lot of times heavy guitars don't stick. You get a guitar and everybody says the same thing. It's only 10 pounds, right? I mean, let's be honest. It's not a lot of weight. It's what, and that's why I tell you, when I did my collection video, I talked about all my guitars being kind of equal in weight. This is an observation I did, obviously selling customers guitars for many years. You see what it is that kind of makes a guitar, leave the collection. And one thing that happens is you get a guitar and you go, well, this one's really heavy, but I love the way it sounds. I love the way it plays. And then over time, you find that's not the one you grab. You know what I mean? You don't pick it up. And so I'm not saying that for everybody. For me, it was that way, and some others as well. So it could be that too. So again, this top list might not be the best guitars. This, kind of like as a badge of honor, it might actually be a badge of like the most tried, And that's still cool, because I would say by definition, if they were the most flipped, they were still probably the most sold. But it does tell a different story if you look at it that way. So interesting. Anyone talking about that? Richard wants to know, does Reverb ask for serial numbers as an optional field. I think they do. If I recall, they do. I try to give serial numbers when I do sales. I just did the review of the Gear Exchange. We were talking about that. As you guys know, I'm doing a review of the Gear Exchange. Actually, the video is done. The patrons are seeing the rough draft of it. There's a couple questions they had I want to add to it, but I actually have an issue that I need clarification of. So I reached out to the people at Sweetwater and Gear Exchange to get clarification on a question. And the question I asked is pretty difficult. I'm not being sarcastic. It's a very difficult question to answer, right? It's really complicated. But I really think that it's a question I think everybody would want to know. So once that's resolved, that video will launch. Okay. So, and there, by the way, they had an option to put in the serial number, so I did. So, okay. All right. Are we done with this subject? Okay. Maybe we are. All right. Let me open up some of the previous streams questions, and let me see what that was about. Okay. You know, while we're doing this, if you guys don't mind, I have to fix something. Okay, I fixed it. All right. So we have a question. The first one came from Jared, who says, Phil, I ordered a headless bass off AliExpress. Okay. Needed a 6-string soap bar. Need 6-string soap bar recommendations, please. No specific sound in mind, just something cool. You know, I don't know if I could answer that. I think for a bass, when I think of bass pickups, because you're set a bass and you're saying 6-string bass, a 6-string bass, and you want a soap bar pickup, Bartolini's are my favorites. That's what I recommend. That's what I use. Most of my instruments have Bartolini's for bass. I use Bartolini's, I'll use DiMarzios for bass, and I'll use... Probably the only one that doesn't have a combination of that is my Kiesel, because it has Kiesel pickups in it. So I'd say Bartolini's. Pedally says, for the pedal jar, we'll have a table at the Phoenix Guitar Show. Come say hi and tell us you're a KYG listener. So Pedally is a music store here in town in Arizona, in Phoenix. And what he's talking about is tomorrow is the guitar show in Phoenix. I will put a link to it down below if you want to go. It's free admission if you guys want to go. What's nice about it is it's actually small. So the area is not very big. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you what to expect size-wise, but I would say, like, picture the parking lot of like a Walgreens. Like, it's not going to be like like an Air Force base, huge, right? It's going to be a small event. So you could go, knock it out an hour or two, have a good time, check out some stuff. The weather right now is fantastic. So of course I say that, and then tomorrow something will happen. I plan to poke in tomorrow at 11-ish, and I'm planning to be gone by 2-ish in those ishes times. So that's my plan. I have I have some stuff that has to get done by some deadlines, and not moving fast enough on those things that are pretty big projects. 3 huge projects that you guys will see soon, and all of them, I don't even have to tell you what they are. You'll know exactly what they are when I announce them, because they're big. And so if you guys are interested in that, of course, Pedally will be there, and stop by and say hi. Check out stuff. Like I said, that's where I'm going, to check out stuff and maybe say hi to some people. So Rich says, how important are potentiometer values to you? Does it matter if they're 250, 500, or 1 meg? What about capacitors? Is paper oil worth the investment, or is orange drop good enough? You know, I've tried every capacitor, as everyone does, and I hear a difference. Some people say there's no difference between them. There's all kinds of arguments. I don't really care. I think my problem with capacitors is, I get why a company would have a problem buying 5,000 of them, but when you buy a capacitor for $6, I know you can buy, them for 30 cents, but when I buy something for $6 and I plug in my guitar and I go, oh, that sounds pretty good. It's $6. It's like less than a pack of strings sometimes. So I like orange drops, but I also use all kinds of capacitors. I live with different ones in different guitars for different reasons. I kind of just mess with that. Same with potentiometers. There's no particular value that I'm after. I tend to follow the rules, like I said. 250 is what single coils, 500 is for humbuckers. 1 megs very rarely do I use, but I do have some guitars like a Jazzmaster. I'll put a 1 meg in if the pickup's especially kind of dark sounding and doesn't have a lot of highs. And I'll do stuff like that. But there's no like steadfast rule. Everything to me is just like, I'm just having fun, putting stuff in, trying stuff. And then if I like it, I keep it. And if I don't like it, I don't. From doing it for customers for many years, I kind of learned like, oh, I kind of like that mod that person asked me to do, or I wouldn't do that to my guitar. And then of course, doing YouTube's doing the mods, you kind of do that stuff. So that's it. It's to me more important sometimes is the quality of the parts is more important than the values because they break and that I don't like. So I don't really fight the whole, CTS sounds better than an alpha pot, better component kind of sounds better. I mean, you could argue all kinds of things, especially when you're talking about resistance with wire, better wire, all that stuff. To me, it's about the quality of breaking. I just don't want stuff to break. So as long as I feel like the components will last, that's what I care about. And then, of course, everybody lives in different situations. And where I live, it's so dusty here that it's just about components. They get dusty and crackly really fast. I don't know how to say this name. It says, suggestions on a custom 24 low to medium output humbuckers. Do you like the distortions in it currently? I have no idea what this question is. So custom 24, low, medium, don't like the distortions. Okay, so he's got distortions and he doesn't like them currently. I remember, like I said, I'm a broken record on this. I like PF style pickups or slightly hotter. So like Riff Raff by Bare Knuckles, or the 36th anniversary PF by PAF by DiMarzio, or the 59s by Seymour Duncan. I mean, any of those. I mean, I can just go on and on. There's just something about the anatomy of those pickups that I like. They sing really well. They're really good. I like 57 Classics by Gibson. There's just something about that. And the style that I like to play, I like those kind of pickups for sure. And then I'm looking for... Hold on, there was a question. You know what I'm missing was there was a question and it didn't translate over and it was from a member. So luckily I recognize that I don't see it. So I had a member ask a question on the first stream, the one that went kaplooey. They're looking for a 65 Deluxe Reverb and the best place to get a deal for that. I saw Michael Nielsen had answered that a little bit. I saw it. I mean, I think he answered it, but I mean, I saw just briefly that he answered it. And I'm sure whatever he said was probably perfect because Michael's a great guy and he's really smart when it comes to this stuff. I would definitely look at getting used. They're not holding up very well. One thing I can tell right now with the market is the used prices are now falling as the new prices are so astronomically high. So, I mean, I saw a Deluxe Reverb, 65 Deluxe Reverb in the last week on my Craigslist recently, listed as good condition, and the price was less than half of what they're going for new. And I even thought about like, do I need a second Deluxe Reverb? So, and also I have to tell you with all honesty, right now, if you're buying Fender products, buy used. As you guys know, I told you guys I bought another Supersonic, but there's two here. and I obviously, I didn't listen to my own advice. Sometimes I give advice. I don't know why I give advice. Sometimes I say things, you guys, and then for some reason I don't follow the thing I told you guys. I guess that makes me kind of a hypocrite, but, and I've been talking lately about my how I feel about how Fender's been conducting itself as a corporation lately, and the idea that how they're not, to me, doesn't feel like they value their employees. And my biggest problem is, one, no one should be treated badly. Let's just get that out of the way. But also, let's talk about just as a consumer side, on my side, as the consumer of the products. I don't want employees who are disgruntled, right? You ever walk into a business where everyone looks like they just really want to quit right now, and you're thinking, I don't need to be in this, this customer right now. And so here's the thing. I know that's why I'm telling you guys I had problems with the way Fender's treating employees and my perception of it. And then, of course, I still don't follow my advice. I tell you guys, I need a Supersonic. So guess what I did? I told you guys I bought one from Sweetwater. I used the 10% off code they gave for for Fender sales, right? And I got it. And I used it in the SLO video. And it was this one. And then I played it for a whole hour, and I went to change from the clean channel, because remember I was using the SLO in the clean channel, and guess what? This switch doesn't work. It doesn't change channels. It's broken. So I can't change to the dirty channel. So I reached out to Sweetwater, as you do, and they were really on it. They had a tech on the phone with me within minutes, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And we walked through the problem, and we both decided, yes, the only way to fix it is replace the switch. And that doesn't make sense because I just bought it and it's freaking expensive. And so Sweetwater was kind enough, like, hey, we can send you a replacement. When you get the replacement, take the RA label that comes with the replacement and ship the old one back. And great. So I got the replacement yesterday afternoon, and I unboxed it today. And I'm looking at it, and there's something wacky with the replacement, which is this top one. I'm going to show you right now, and this is how crazy, because it's normally I'd have to zoom in to show you. There is a monstrous gap between the grill cloth and the chassis. This is my, I just want to show you. This is my, I got it for Father's Day. This is my badass dad coaster. This is a leather coaster with a beer opener on it, a bottle opener. Pretty cool, huh? Maybe it is. It's pretty thick. That's how big the gap is across the entire amp. So I know what you're thinking. Well, that's a cosmetic thing. Does it hurt anything? Doesn't hurt anything. It's more of a, wow, if a year or two from now I decide I don't love this amp and I sell it, somebody's going to go, hey, did you mod this amp? This is a big gap here. Now, the only problem is I go, okay, aesthetics, you know, I don't really care. That's what I decided. I plug in the amp. It doesn't sound good. It's got a dark sound. I'm cranking the volume. See how high? I'm cranking the volume to almost halfway to get it to sound as good as it was sounding on the other one about volume 3. So I think that's a tube thing. Usually that's the problem. But Sweetwater reached out. My sales engineer reached out and said, hey, how's it going? And I said, the first one, I think the second one's actually worse than the first one, because the first one, I know what's wrong with it. It's just the switch doesn't work. This one, I don't know what's going on, but I think what I've got from this is employees not giving a crap. And I mean, when I say not giving a crap, I'm not calling out the employees for this. I'm saying this is the result of what I think Fender's been doing. And I should have seen this coming. And so where am I at with this? Well, here's what I think I'm going to do, is what I told Sweetwater. I think I'm going to send back the second one because I'd rather not have the gap and it doesn't sound right. And I don't want to put new tubes in it. What I'm going to do is keep the original one that's broken. And even though I can take it to a warranty center, I'm just going to fix it myself. That's not a hard part. I just have to take it apart and fix it. Am I happy about taking it apart and fixing an amp that's $1,400? Oh, it actually was more than that with tax. $1,400 amplifier. No, I'm not happy about that. But, you know, at this point, I'm not ready to ship 2 back and then go on Reverb and find a used one and go through all that. So at this point, you know, I think a lot of you understand, you've made decisions like this too. You're like, this is the lesser of the evils. And, I also, like I said, this is not a sponsored Sweetwater thing. This is my own money. I paid for this all. The treatment I got from Sweetwater was, and I got to tell you this, just because I didn't tell Sweetwater this, and I need to write a letter and send it to Sweetwater, tell him this. I would have never, but after the first one broke, I was like, that's a sign of the times. Let's just RA it back. But when they got on the phone with me and they go, hey, let's see what's wrong with it. They, you know, he walked me through the thing. We kind of figured out what the issue was. And then he goes, yeah, it's broken. He goes, tell you what, he goes, we have one left. By the way, there's no more. Even if I wanted to send these back to Sweetwater, they don't have any more in stock. He goes, there's one more in stock. He goes, if I get it out right now, it'll get out today. You'll have it in a couple of days. He goes, and then you'll have a label and you can just send the other one back. And he made that so easy to exchange it that I was like, yeah, I don't want to do a refund. Let's just do the exchange because, you know, I mean, I got to give him props. So this is Sweetwater fixing what I perceive as Fender's problem. So just be aware of that, guys. You know, I buy used Fender. By the way, so you know, this is probably also why the tone is like this right now. I have a video coming very soon of a high-end USA Fender that I reviewed. This is an interesting review because if you guys remember when I did a Kiesel review where a viewer sent me the guitar that Kiesel sent them, I don't know. I haven't confirmed if in the video I will be disclosing the YouTuber, but a YouTuber that told me it would be funny if I reviewed a guitar that Fender sent them. And it's not good. It's not a good review. It might actually go down as one of the worst guitars I've ever reviewed. Yeah, it's pretty bad. You'll see. It needs a lot of work. I'll be doing all the work to it. It's going to be like kind of a very half-ass sharpen my axe kind of video, because I'll have to fix a lot of the stuff before it goes back to the other YouTube channel. But not great, guys. So hopefully they'll get that dialed in. I hope it gets better soon. All right. Let's see. Richard wants to know, what is Sweetwater's amp inspection protocol? Interesting you would ask that, Richard. As you know, I spent 7 days there going through everything I could, and they have no amp inspection protocol. All they have is a reinspection protocol at this point. So they do not inspect any amplifiers. I asked them specifically that. I went to the amp department. They have a whole team of people. They fix these amps. They don't, most of the time they don't even send them back to Fender. They're kind of doing that just to keep the wheels kind of going, you know, keep it going. So sometimes, but I can tell you this is what I can tell you for sure. They don't inspect any amplifiers that go out to you that you purchase from Sweetwater. However, if anyone returns an amp for any reason, that then goes through inspection before it's put back in. So even if I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I remember them saying, because I thought I said, even if they don't open the box, and I think they said, yeah, even if they don't open the box, we inspect it. So I was like, okay. So they do have a reinspection protocol, but not an inspection protocol with amps. So, but like everything Sweetwater does, I can tell you they definitely have data, so they know when stuff's coming back and what's coming back and what it is. And I'm sure they track whose companies are performing and what companies are doing not so great. So, but I would imagine with big companies like Fender and even Gibson, again, I don't want to put Gibson into this, but you understand, bigger companies, I'm sure, you know, what are you going to do? I'm so dumb. Look, I'll just call myself out. I'm so dumb, you're going to see me buying another Fender product next month or two. Because Andrew says, who's inspecting it? They have amp techs at the facility. They have a... I couldn't tell you. I didn't look at the actual dozen. I have footage of it and interviews of it, but I didn't, it didn't turn that into any content because it wasn't really like... You know, after a while, it just starts feeling like a Sweetwater commercial of content. You know, I kind of want to really give a behind the scenes of Sweetwater, not so much a like a, hey, Sweetwater's the best and just buy from them kind of vibe. So I didn't do a lot of the videos, even though I had some footage, because again, I'm trying to make interesting content that I think people will enjoy and learn something from, and not so much a like, hey, this is another great thing. But I think what I saw was like a half a dozen techs fixing amps and checking them and doing all that stuff. Vim69 says, when is the Black Cat video that he's talking about, the Bad Cat, Black Cat video coming out? If I recall, it is November 17th, but it might be November 27th. You know what? And so I don't have to guess. Let me just tell you, because I have it on a schedule. All my videos are on a schedule. It sounds weird. You think the way they kind of come out, it doesn't seem like they are, but they are. It is on the schedule to be November 27th at 2 p.m. California time. So Bad Cat the 27th. So that's when it comes out. Why that is because they are not ready for, they don't have product ready. I think they're building it right now. I think whatever it is, they're getting ready. It's so that the videos don't go out. That will not be a mass blast campaign. As far as I know, it's Michael Nielsen does this amazing video that I shouldn't tell people, but I'm going to tell them anyways. It's this amazing video of all four of the new Bad Cat amps. It's pretty spectacular. And then I have a video where I just go, because I picked one of the four to check out. And I just learned something today I didn't even know. The one I have is, they kept saying it's the first one or it's the prototype that I have. And I was like, okay. And then today I was doing something with it and I noticed it doesn't even have serial numbers. And I have a prototype one. So how cool is that? I have the first one. Okay. Let me go through. I'm going through. If you did a super chat, like I said, it's stored up, so don't worry about that. Let me go. Yeah, Sean, he's saying, hey, ordered a Friedman Pink Taco from Sweetwater. First one had a bad tube. Yeah, that happens all the time. So yeah, I'm with you on that. That's why you got to have half a dozen preamp tubes if you have any tube amps. The center replacement, I think he means amp, that had a bad power switch. The third one was the charm. That was in September. This was in September. Yeah. Like I said, if they had a third supersonic, they have a tan one. I'm trying to decide, do I want tan? But I also kind of, like, Sean, you understand the feeling, right? You're like, I feel bad. I shouldn't feel bad. They're $1 billion company. They got money. But I'm like, I feel bad. Like, man, they're just eating all these returns. And I think it's because, like I said, as someone who had a retail business for 13 years, I just think about all the overhead that kills your profits on that. Mike says, am I sure the bad switch isn't hiding another problem? No, I'm not. That's why I was going to return it. I was like, at first I was like, because the switch is actually not expensive. This is obviously this is the piece. This probably pops off. This is a tan piece. It's like a little square, and you pop that off, and then the switch is probably $7, $6 and something retail, and then it's soldered on with 3 prongs. Like I said, I'm not an amp tech, but remember I was a Fender dealer for 13 years, so I've seen enough of these to know what they look like inside. It's a pretty straightforward thing. It's just, I mean, it's 30, 40 minutes, for me as an unexperienced person, not knowing what I'm doing with an amp. I've worked on boards, PC boards and stuff, and I solder and stuff, so I could pull it and I can swap that switch. But my first instinct was, yeah, the switch is bad. What else is bad? But I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if I want to go no supersonic. I really like having the amp back. It's nice. As you guys know, I had the combo and I wanted a head. I am not old. I'm vintage. We're going to be jumping over. Says, did the YouTuber know it was not good? Oh, absolutely. No, everybody on the planet would know this guitar is not good. It's a pretty horrible monstrosity of issues. Don't ship a bad $2,000 guitar is what I would say. Maybe that's the title of the video. Don't ship a bad $2,000 guitar. The problem was it wasn't shipped for review. It was shipped for, actually, you know what? It's crazy. I kind of don't want to give too much out of the bag, but here's what's funny. It wasn't shipped for review. It was shipped for promotion purposes. In other words, because that's a different kind of thing, right? Fender ships product to influencers, YouTube channels, whatever you want to call these people. But like I do reviews with mine. But remember, not everybody does reviews, right? Some people go, they do stuff with their gear, right? Like Tyler Larson's great. He doesn't really necessarily always do a review. He most likely will do something like, he's like, they send him a strat and he goes, 10 songs you never knew Jimi Hendrix did on this guitar. You know what I mean? So not always a review. In this particular case, it was sent not for review, but it was, multiple guitars were sent because they were defective, and where it landed was not great either. Okay, that's enough of that. Troll says, how do you know the YouTuber didn't mess with it? Well, let's just say I've been working on guitars for 20 years and I know what somebody does to a guitar and what a defect from the factory is. So I don't think I'm worried about that. It's the same thing as when I'm reviewing guitars and I'm going through them and I know what of it is common to see as a defect in a brand or what's not common to see. What, you just have your, I mean, at this point in my life, I mean, I thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of hours. I don't know what the number is. It's off the charts, the amount of time I've had my hands into guitars working on them. At this point, it's there's no guesswork anymore. I mean, obviously I don't know everything. That's not what I'm saying, but I've seen so much that you just kind of get a sense of it. Same thing. If you're a mechanic, if you're a plumber, if you're a tradesperson, that's what I consider myself as for, almost 20 years as a tradesperson. As a tradesperson, you do your job every day, 6 days a week for a long period of time. You kind of go, okay, yeah, so I know when somebody's like how many times I can tell you like, hey, did you drop this? And they're like, no. And you're like, they dropped it. So in this case, I know this is a factory issue. And again, it's not the end of the world. It's not, obviously everything will be fixed. It's the, it just sucks that it, Sean says he's seen so much he pantyhoses the guitars. I know. Isn't that funny? Yeah. I'm sorry. A lot of you guys are just talking about all kinds of guitars. Again, this isn't an indictment of Fender for having bad quality. All kinds of companies have bad quality. I'm just saying, usually my gut tells me when a company is going through a difficult time, you probably should stay away from them. And I wasn't doing that right now. Okay. All right. Let's get on the next subject. The next subject is going to be, what is it going to be? Easter just wants to say, hey, I hope your wife and your adults, I know, get it. Kids, adults are, well, they are good. They are, as far as I know, everything's fine. It's exciting. I went to, my son's really into One Piece. There's like probably one person that knows what that is. So we went and saw One Piece Red, the movie Red, in the theater. It's like an animation musical. So I went and did that yesterday. It was kind of nice. So it's kind of nice to relax and get away from stuff. But okay. All right. And then it's funny. Today's episode, I've been debating on doing this thing. How many is there of you guys on the show right now? 1,091. Yeah, I think I'm going to do something cool at the end of the show. When I don't want to overhype it, not that cool, but something I said I wouldn't do. I've been talking to the patrons, and one patron in particular kind of asked me and kind of said I should talk about this. So I'm going to do that. There's your what do you call it? There's your, I don't know what you call that. Clickbait. I don't know. Whatever. Get you interested to the end. It says, until you're watching the rebroadcast, it's timestamp. You don't have to listen to this crap. You go right to it. I am my screen's jumping around. Okay. Hold on a second real quick. Okay, so this is Mean Mr. Mustard says, hey, Phil, I just got a part-time job in the guitar store. Any tips on what to do, not to do, first time working in that kind of environment? Here's the thing. This is the advice I will give you that has done me very well. Everything is in the interest of the customer. And what I mean by that is you're going to be great. Look, when you start working retail, it's great. Everybody knows how to be nice. Or fake it. Just fake it. Everybody knows that nice will take you a long way. It takes you more sometimes than skills. It takes you further than anything else. Pleasant is always great. But in retail, it doesn't have to be a guitar store. It's just retail in general will jade you pretty fast. You'll get jaded really fast. And so here's what I've kind of done, and I've made every horrible mistake. So this is what I'll tell you from all my successes. And luckily for me, I feel like I had 90% of the time I had successes. Always in the best interest of the customer. That will always be the right answer. Even when you think you're doing you're like, this is the exception, not in the interest of the customer. 2 days later, you'll look back and go, damn it, should have done that. Here's what I mean by that. So I'll give you examples so you don't have to guess. Customer comes in, has a problem, you fix it, they leave, they come back, they have a problem, you fix it, they come back, they come with a problem. Now your brain says, oh my God, this is a problem customer. What are we going to do with them? You fix it. You just keep fixing it. And here's why. You just remember every day your job is to help the customer. In the end, it all matters that the customer has a good experience. And not only is that good business, but this is what happens. Your instincts are hard to trust. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how intuitive you are. You will mess up once, and the first time you mess up, it really sucks. And what I mean by that is, look, yes, if you're good to 10 customers and one of them took advantage, one of them was doing something shady, one of them wasn't, didn't translate to money. One of them was this. One of them cost the company money. I promise you, if you do it 10 times right, that will pay the bills. What I will tell you is if you try to disseminate between the two, like this is a bad customer, this is a good customer, this customer's kicking the tires and not going to buy anything, this customer isn't serious, this customer's a jerk, whatever. What I will tell you is if you do that and you try to cherry pick in when it's time to be, good sales and when it's to be whatever, a jerk time, I guess. You'll accidentally, it's friendly fire. You'll friendly fire a customer. You will literally be condescending. You'll be rude. You'll do something to someone who's really there and they were a good customer. And not only do you lose the money from that, but it's not a great feeling for you, and it makes your job harder because then you start doubting your skills. See what I'm saying? You'll doubt your skills. Like, did I really assess that person right? Did I really do this? So like I said, every day you got to do, like I said, the end result is the customer needs to be happy. You need to always take care of the customer. That is it. It always works. If your manager, your boss, it gives you information that's contradictory to that, then just ignore them or quit. So I told you, I'm not saying this is going to be good advice. I'm telling you this is advice I would do. There's a reason why I don't work for people. I've worked for myself almost 20 years as well. Because again, doing right by the customer is always the best answer, always pays a dividend. It'll always work out for you. And I really believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. And it will come with horrible stories. It will come with horrible times that something went wrong, but so will the other way. That's the thing I've learned. And I've tried to talk to people over the years and where they're like, yeah, that's a great mantra, Phil, but, but what about this kind of person? What do you do with this attitude? And I'm like, you know what? I bet you I can name 20 times that I've been horribly mistreated by a customer. And I bet you I can name you 20 times where you horribly mistreated a customer. And none of those felt any different. In fact, I probably feel better 10 years later reflecting on how somebody treated me badly than I did treating them badly. That's my personality. So I don't stay up at night because somebody was a jerk to me. I will stay up at night if I thought I was a jerk to somebody else. So end user, always the customer, always do the customer first. Take care of the customer. And then the last piece of advice, because it connects to this, is get the hell out of the store. Right? In other words, go get a cup of coffee, take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, always recharge. You don't realize it. I don't care how good you are. There's a reason why, like I'm doing this show, there's only shows can be only so long, even though they're pretty long, because this drains you being on. I call it being on. Maybe a common term, I don't know. Being on is like this. I'm informing people. I'm talking. I'm obviously positive. You don't know my whole week, right? Even if I've told you guys like, oh, I had a bad week in this section, and then we get over it and we go right to the thing. Because again, this is the focus. The focus is the show is on the guitars and excitement. Your job is the same thing, is keep people excited so you're on. And if you will drain, and as you drain, you need to recharge. Go recharge. There you go. Andrew says, be yourself. Yeah, that's good advice. Watch this, Andrew. I know some friends that I don't think they should be themselves. What I would say is the be yourself is great. It is great. It's good advice. I like it too. But I will tell you sometimes, not everybody's cut out for sales in the idea that if they were just to be their own personality, but some people can, like I said, be helpful because it's not hard to figure out, when it's nice to be polite, have good manners, treat people with respect. Those things pay dividends. That's what I've learned. They pay dividends. Kind of like if I was going to see, like if I was going to give like a store advice, one of my pieces of advice that I learned really on is I try not to fight with customers, but I would fight with companies all the time. And the reason is that same reason. I would do what I would take care. I would always take the customer side over a vendor. And sometimes the vendors got frustrated with that, but I didn't care because I'm like, I knew at the end, the customer's always, no one's going to care if you have product. They're going to care if you don't have, if you have customers. You need customers more than products, is what I'm trying to say. That's just whatever piece of advice I can give you that. Mike says, will TV Jones Filtertron's pickups fit in a P90 route? I don't know. I don't think I've ever done it. I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever asked me to do it, to install them. And if they have, it was one time, and I probably, if it worked, I don't remember. Couldn't tell you. I don't know. I've installed P90s, I've installed Filtertrons in a ton of guitars that had humbuckers, pickups, and you have adapter plates that fit them in there and stuff, and you can do that. And they make Filtertrons that are specifically made for that. But I just don't know. I would imagine if TV Jones does, because they have different types of TV Jones pickups that are designed to have these adapters. So maybe there's a P90 adapter. I would imagine if it fits in a P90 slot, it's got to have an adapter for it. So look for the adapter. This one is, I'm not going to butcher the name. It says, Phil, I love your work. What should I do about that I am such a huge nerd? Nah, there's nothing wrong with that. None of my friends knows what the heck I am talking about when we discuss gear. That's everybody. That's why we have this. Look, I'm around this stuff all day, and I still don't have enough people to talk gear with, or guitars, or music with. In a dream world, I would talk about music and guitars and gear all day, all night, with no exception. And I still not be able to do that because I still don't have enough people that have this much of interest. So I'm still finding myself talking about stuff. You name it, all the stuff I hate: politics, inflation, sports, cars. I don't know. Okay. This question is, hey, Phil, why do people go crazy for vintage Gibson Les Paul plastics? I don't know if I understand this. Okay. What is the difference among historic vintage plastics and factory plastics? I don't know what the word plastics is. I'm going to say this. Why do people go crazy for vintage guitars? Because they collect them. I don't know. We kind of talked about that so many times on this show. I don't have a new angle on it. Vintage guitars are not my thing, but I totally get I get why people get into it, but it's not my thing. But what I will say is this: if that's something you're curious about, first get some books on vintage guitars and learn about them. And then, people just kind of really focus on small things. And sometimes the small things could be, if you're talking about the plastic pieces like Bakelite and stuff, people get really into things being accurate. That's my sense of it. There's going to be all kinds of, unicorn mystique put on tone and all kinds of stuff. But I really think it's really has more to do with being historically accurate. That's what really people are interested in, is things being so accurate, which is why vintage guitars, reissue guitars, are sold in cost by how accurate they are. Yeah. Brian says he's talking about the pick guards and knobs. I don't know. This is one of those questions, like, I can tell you this, like, people get into like having the original box for the guitar, have the original case. That's not me. I'm not like that in any way. So I couldn't have any insight in it other than explain that it happens. A lot of the stuff, that's all I can do is explain that people are into that. Damien says, I use a deluxe Reverb Live. I can't test pedals and boosts at home due to the sound. Okay. Reactively and breakup at low volume. What's a good way to test the amps at home? Dream 65, Toemaster, attenuator, screw it. Do an attenuator. What will happen is it'll sound like it does live, except for it will probably not be as bright. Amps are going to get a lot brighter as they get louder, especially like a Fender amp. So you'll get a lot brighter, and the attenuator will darken it, but you'll be in the same realm. Do an attenuator. Get a nice one. For that amp, I would definitely recommend the Tone King one, the Tone King Ironman 2. It's the one that will handle up to 30 watts. Totally, that amp will sound amazing with that thing. Matt says, thanks for the review on the Fortitude and the 36th anniversary pickups. I have them in both my 1980 era Ario Pro 2s and my 93 Les Paul Studio. Love them. Thanks, man. I appreciate the compliment, and I'm glad it worked out for you. Bruce says, if you're running a preamp pedal into an effects loop and the guitar is running into the preamp pedal, do you still need to run something into the front amp? You do not need to run anything to the front amp. What you're doing is you're just plugging it right into the power amp. This is a thing that happens all the time. YouTube channels talk about it all the time. I do not do that. I did it one time when I did the when I did the Pedal Pal video, and I ran it in the effects loop of the Ingle, and I did that to illustrate the sound of the pedal. I thought it was a good way to like, oh, look, this pedal, this is how it sounds so raw. And to be honest with you, I would never run it that way personally. I just did it for the video. So I kind of refrained from doing a video like that again, because at the time I was kind of like, oh yeah, it's a good way. Let's just different, kind of keep things exciting, try and change things up on the channel. I do not run pedals. I don't run things in the effects loop or in the power amp in section of an amp. I don't run things straight to the power amp. Here's why. Because I keep saying this. If I run like the SLO pedal into the return on this supersonic into the power section, it'll sound fine. It'll sound great because it's just I'm taking the pedal sound and going right to power to speaker. But once I turn the pedal off, I'm just running my guitar right to the power section. I have no preamp. I have no way to color this sound. And I don't want pedals. Again, everybody has different needs. I don't need a pedal. What I'm trying to say. Like I have amps, so I use amps. I want pedals to have varieties of sound in one amp. So for instance, the Supersonic has a good clean, has good dirty, but I may want other sounds like the 5150 or this SLO or, you name it, LPD 68, run some different pedals into the front of the amp and give me different choices of sounds and interact with the amp. I like the interaction with the amp. That's what I'm going after. But yeah, you can run it in the front and the effects loop, and no, you don't need to plug anything in the front of the amp. There's no reason for that. McDowell says, hey, Phil, Nashville Tele build, Fralin Blues specials in the neck and bridge. Can you advise middle pickup with plus switching ops? 3-way, push toggle, 4-way. You're talking about a single coil pickup? I like to stay brand specific on pickups. So if you're using Fralins, I would go with a Fralin single coil for the middle. You don't have to. You can use anything for that. It's also a question of how often you're going to use it. So sometimes when you have a middle pickup, a lot of players don't use a middle pickup very often. If you're not going to use it, and especially if you're only going to use it in the in-betweens where you're using the neck in the middle or the bridge in the middle, maybe you don't have to have an expensive pickup at all. A lot of them will get you there. But me personally, I'll tend to put the same brands across the guitar. More times than not. That's just kind of the way I do it. And so I like the Fralins. That's what's in my Tele. So that I know there's more to it than that, but I think I covered it. Revel says, hey Phil, I bought an 88 American Standard Tele with a coil split Seymour Duncan Jazz neck humbucker pickup in the neck. Do you know that pickup? Do I know the Seymour Duncan Jazz neck humbucker? Yes. Okay. There is an empty center route under the pickguard. Should I get that filled in? No. That's an interesting question, Revel. I like that. So basically, that's a common with guitars. So what they're talking about is you take off the pickguard and there's routing for all kinds of stuff, right? Multiple pickups, multiple things. Should you fill that in? I've actually seen that before. I've seen guitar players take pieces of wood and cut them and kind of insert them in, and kind of the idea is more wood, more tone, right? Talk about tone wood. We're not even talking about tone, like the type of wood is tone, just more of wood is more tone. And that's the logic there. It's possible. Anything's possible that it will make some kind of difference. But I can't imagine the difference is, huge. Like I said, I like to use the logic of everything makes a difference, but once we're talking about 1% or 2% difference, is it something you're going to really perceive noticeable? So I wouldn't do it that way. I wouldn't mess with it, me personally. What if I said air has great tone and there's air in there? That air tone, like a hollow body, sounds good. You need the air tone. That's what that is. Okay, let's take a second and read some questions that are not super chats. Hold on. I don't know. This show seems like it's going off the rails today. All right. Richard says, I can't think of many guitar players that don't use pedals. No, of course. That's a great a way to look at it. I really believe that the majority of tones are pedals. I think pedals, and if it's not pedals, it's rack gear, and if it's not rack gear, it's studio gear, which is a lot of times rack gear. Sure, there's a lot of that stuff. This idea that you get an amp and that one tone is your tone, and no, it's a variety. You need variety. This is an artistic form. Use as much stuff as you need or as little as you need. You could be Vernon Reid and you can have 50,000 pedals and 18 amps and make it crazy and make it fun and you can be great, or you can be Angus Young and you can just plug an SG into a wireless into a Marshall and just go, right? No one way is wrong or right. It's just about what it is that you're trying to discover about yourself. And a lot of us who are not in accomplished bands, that's the other thing too. You got to understand, a lot of guitar players, some hindsight from reviewing some of these guitar players that are more famous. Once they write hit songs, they seem to go into two mindsets, right? There's the first mindset, which is recreation, right? They're not creating sounds anymore. They're recreating sounds. So remember, their way to make money is to keep doing the thing that you like. So they got to play the song. Let me put it this way. Think about what a musician has to do when you break it down when they're successful. They write a hit song. So let's say you write a hit song. Well, first thing you got to do is play that song the way you played it originally, right? I mean, you can variate it a little bit, but you can't play it totally, you can't play it in a different key, different tempo, different song. People want to hear the song you wrote. So you're going to play the song that you wrote that people love pretty accurate to the original to some degree, right? And so you're recreating now your art. You made art, but now you got to recreate it, okay? And then because you're playing it the way you did, you're going to probably use some of the gear or things that help you make it sound like it did, either on the recording or the original, whatever way they heard it, whether it was live performance or what have you. So that's your mindset. It's recreation. And sometimes that could be as crazy as exactly. So it's the exact same amp with the exact same guitar and exact same pedal and the same cable and the same temperature in the room. I'm being exaggerative now, but you get the idea. Or it could be just taking a Kemper or an Axe FX and cloning the sounds, and to the end user, it sounds pretty accurate to what it sounded like. Then there's a second part of their mind you can tell where when they make new music, they're back into exploratory mind, right? They're not trying to recreate their sound. They're not saying, hey, my last album sounded like this, so I'm going to get exactly the same gear again and I'm exactly do the same process again. Now they're trying to try something new. And a lot of them go through these just like us, they go through these travels. And I've seen them do things like, I've watched musicians when I interview them say things like, my first album had, every song had a different effects pedal in it. It sounded great, but I hated carrying, having 50 different effects pedals on the tour, so that was horrible. So the next album, I didn't do any effects, right? Every song used the same ingredients, the same amps, the same things. So that way, every song, I'm not worrying about switching out guitars, switching out stuff, because they learned that. And then some of them, they don't mind the switching out because actually that's what's interesting to them. And some of them want to change it up a little bit. So it feels like that's a different person than you, but they're not. They're the same thing. You're going through the same thing. This month you're into this, so you're going to do exploratory and get new sounds. Sometimes it's about the sound you love that you're trying to recreate. Sometimes it's not your sound, it's somebody else's sound you're trying to recreate. And all of that is fine. I always feel weird when we have these conversations. Like, I feel like I'm giving people permission to do the thing that they want to do. And I go, this seems weird, but every time we've had this discussion, I get a ton of emails saying, yeah, I always feel guilty wanting a new pedal. And I'm like, why? Don't you want a new pedal so you can use it to do something artistic with it? I would think you'd feel more guilty about, I don't know. I put a TV set in my bathroom. I didn't, but I'm just saying, I'd feel more guilty about that. Did I really need a TV in the bathroom? Another pedal is not the worst thing you can do. Somebody right now is like, oh man, I love my TV in my bathroom. Roger says, hey, getting a tremolo to block off my Floyd, any tips? Oh, tremolo. Getting a tremolo to block off my Floyd, any tips? Yeah, just make sure you tighten those things down. They're weird. You tighten down super tight to the point you can crack one, you can break one. But if you don't do it tight enough, it kind of slowly slips. So just kind of figure out the right spot for that. Other than that, that's it, man. It's a super easy process. It's like step 1, 2, 3, 4, done. It's not going to get any trickier than that on the tremolo. Okay. Brad Guitar Miller, what's up, Brad? He says, new Guitar Day thin line Tele that I spent a week building at Texas Toast Guitars. What a great experience. Even got to see your new guitar. Very sweet. That's cool. The Texas Toast guys, we've talked about them many times on the channel. If you guys don't know, they do lutherie classes. I guess that's what I'd call it, like teaching you how to build a guitar and that whole experience. I love that idea. Obviously, like I said, I can't suggest that stuff to you enough. All of you out here, if you're watching a channel like me and you're into this at this level, if you can sit through the last hour and 25 minutes that you just sat through of whatever the hell I just said, you're into this enough to where you need to go and think about what else can you learn. And whether that is go learn more music to play music and improve that skill set, or go learn to do more repair and improve that skill, or build and stuff. But get this out of your body, this artistic desire to do something. It literally keeps keeps you sane. It does. Keeps me sane. Maybe I'm not sane. Think how insane I would be if I didn't have this as an expression to let out of. And remember, and I always remind everybody, if you have a guitar, if you have an instrument, if you sit there, even if you're sitting there and you're just in your room strumming a chord, it's artistic expression. It's amazing. It's it's funny. I don't think I've ever said this before. I once had a student who was saying how horrible they were at guitar, and they were strumming the guitar, and they were, kind of like they were down on themselves. And you never know what to say. You kind of want to, like, a fatherly advice, like, stick in there, kid, or, you're doing great, but you kind of don't want to be disingenuous. And I remember feeling like a panic kind of coming over me. I thought I was doing a pretty good poker face. Like, I was like, oh, tell me, oh, what? And they were like, yeah, I'm very good. I strum these chords, and I've learned this song, and it's just been a while. I've been putting time into this. And I just said, this is what I said, and I'll forever say it. Are you having any fun? And they said, oh, yeah, I have fun. I go, well, then you're doing it 100% right. But more importantly, right now, somebody would look at what you just did and go, how the hell do I do that? And to you, and they tried to rebuttal real quick with, yeah, but what I did, anybody can accomplish that pretty fast. And I'm like, can they? Are you sure of that? And then I said this thing that I love, because again, the whole conversation was funny to me. And I said, and I started saying this to other students, by the way, when they would anyone try to get down on themselves, I always say this: are you sure you're my worst student? And I thought, it always went over well. Like I said, it's funny. I don't think that was a couple years ago. People weren't as sensitive as they are now, so maybe it wouldn't go over well. But so that's my point, to remind people that, man, just enjoy yourself, have a blast. Jared says, hey Phil, I just bought a 2012 Gibson Les Paul Standard in Desert Burst. I love Desert Burst on Reverb for $2,000 with tax and shipping. I feel like I got a stellar deal. Thoughts? That's the new price, man. Yeah, that's a good price. I just paid I just paid a grip, as they would say, on that gold top Les Paul. And Les Pauls are just, they go up in value. That's, like I said, I don't want to say they're good investments, but Jesus, they don't seem to go down in value. So yeah, no, it's a good price. $2,000 for a Les Paul now. 2012 used a Les Paul Standard. It's just what stuff is. I've seen better prices. I've seen much worse. I don't know the condition of it, all this stuff, but man, you're good. You're good to go. Here's what I could tell you on a price like that. Instead of arguing whether it's good price or bad price, here's what I'll tell you that I think pretty confident about. 10 years from now, that's my safe number. Okay. I'm not saying you have to wait that long. 10 years from now, you will definitely get what you paid for it. And so in 10 years from now, if you don't, you can reach out to me, but I'm pretty sure I'll be right. I feel like a decade's safe, and it might be sooner, or it might be worth more than what you paid for now, but I'm just saying that's what's great about something like that. HK says, I have no idea. Let the sun beat down upon my face. Done. It is happening right now. In my world, it's all these lights. Doesn't look like it, but I'm surrounded with lights. There's just lights everywhere, coming from everywhere. Sometimes my eyes water when I'm doing this show, because I'll be thinking and I'll catch a light just right. It's not awesome. It's like you're looking at, it's like 4 cops right now are all asking me questions. So Matt says, Sean's, no, seen Mesa's new cabs? Oh, he wants to know if I've seen Mesa Boogie's new cabs. I got the 210 open back coming. I didn't. I need to look at them. I just bought a cabinet today. I bought a Friedman 112 cabinet because I had some gift cards. That's obviously I bought some stuff. I bought a guitar for review with the gift cards. Again, I can't tell you what one, but I'm super excited about that. And but I'll check out Mesa's cabinets. I'm a big Mesa cabinet fan. So I like them. At 10, what's up at 10? It says, hey, will direct mount pickups also fit in a pick guard? Direct mount pickups isn't like a style of pickup. It's just the way it's installed. And the big issue about pickups that are direct mounted are sometimes people drill them out. It's so you have threading on the tabs on a, let's say, a humbucker or a single coil, so that when you mount them to a single to a pick guard, you have 2 screws, right? And they go and they thread in they go into those threads, and then they hold the pickup. And so sometimes what people do is they drill those out and then they stick them direct into the guitar and then put screws right through them, and it works that way. Hopefully what they did, a lot of times, if they're smart, what they'll do is instead of drill out the threading of the pickups, they'll just use a smaller screw that will go through the hole, and that way you don't have to do that. So unfortunately, sometimes it's a nightmare to put pickups that were direct mounted into a pickguard. Now, that doesn't mean you can't. Absolutely can. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. So understand what I'm saying. Like I said, you have threading in the hole, and now they drilled it out, and so there's nothing for a screw to hold onto. You can there's a ton of ways to do it. I do the lazy, lame way, which is I have wood. I just make them. The bobbins on a pickup. I have wood. I take sheets of wood, about 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch thick, 1/8 of an inch thick. I don't know what that is. That's 2 millimeters, maybe 3 millimeters for everybody who's wherever you are. And I cut them the shape of a bottom of a bobbin of a pickup for a single coil, and then I thread those, and then I'll put them underneath the pickup, and then I put the screws into that to put in the pick guard. That works really great for single coils. I like having all that. I used to do just little wooden blocks on the end, but this is just a faster way. But you can do little wooden blocks that you can screw into. Same with humbuckers. You just need something for them to bite into. So basically a little bit of modification to put them back from being direct mounted to floated, I guess, into a pickguard or something else. So that's the main thing you have to do. And then for those of you that just heard all that, if you've ever taken pickups that you bought from the store or wherever you buy them, or and you're direct mounting them, please don't drill out the damn threading, because one day it will happen to you. It's the Murphy's Law. You'll go, oh man, I want to take them out now and stick them on a Les Paul, and literally none of the screws you can buy are going to fit because you drilled out those holes. So you're going to be modding them. Okay. Okay. There is, where are we at? Okay, let me do something real quick. I gotta share this with you. I'm gonna share this with you, and we're gonna see how it goes. Okay, we're gonna see how it goes. Give me a second, and okay, and I'm multitasking right now. Okay. Okay, you guys there? Oh, I can't do it. All right. I was trying to upload something real quick to see if I can show it to you guys, and I can't. So I was trying to look for some photos of that, but it won't let me add the scenes right now. Let's go to Brian. Brian says, hey, Phil, I have a JJ Jr. So he's talking about the Freeman JJ Jr., the Jerry Cantrell Jr. combo, and an extension cab. Both have Creambacks. Okay, so they should be 16 ohms, I think, 16 ohm Creambacks. And he says, I want a new speaker in the extra cab. What would play nice with the Creamback? He says Hard Rock V30. I like the V30s with the Creambacks. There's a couple things you can mix with Creambacks. They're great. Okay. Obviously, a lot of people like the Blue Alnico Celestion speakers. Celestion speakers. I like V30 with a Creamback, just like I like a V30 with a Greenback. And the main reason is because the V30s to me have more bass response. They're a little bit beefier sounding, where the Creamback has all the highs and the clarity. So you get that kind of like, yeah, it's singing in your ears. Really good. So that's one thing to do. So I would match those up. Obviously, you just got to make sure that they're right ohms. 16 ohms, I would imagine, is what that cabinet is. So you put a 16 ohm V30 in there. That will work really great. The other thing that's really great about that is if you have the 65 watt Creamback, when you put the 75 watt V30 in there, it becomes 65 watts. Kind of a little cool thing. So you get a little, I like that effect as well. There's also a Redback Celestion speaker that's really cool to mix up with Creambacks. Again, a little bit more low end response, fuller response, but I would go with the V30 if I was going to pick personally. So V30 for sure. That's a good mix. On my cabinets, I have some Creambacks, I have some Greenbacks, and I have some V30s, and I have mixes of all those, and for all those reasons. So, Meester says, hey, One Piece dubbed? No, I did not do dubbed. Okay, so I know where this is going. Okay, so his question is, so One Piece is an animation show. Remember, I'm not versed in this. Okay, my son has every show. I've watched a ton of them. We went and saw One Piece, not overdubbed in English. We saw it. So we subtitled. We read the subtitles. Because that's the cool way to do it. Plus, when you do it that way, apparently, which I told my son is, only 4 people are in the theater. So we had the theater to ourselves, and we went to the dine theaters. I don't know what you call that. I mean, it has a name, but you guys may know what this is talking about, or you guys might know what I'm talking about where you're at, where you sit and then you order stuff. You can order food and they bring it to you, right? It's like you dine there. So it's nice because there was like nobody in the theater. In fact, I can tell you right now, it was my son, me, and my wife, and 2 people in front of us over to the side and 2 people behind us. So all in 7 people in the entire theater. One Piece, no overdubbed. So it was in Japanese and with where we had to read. You have to read. It says, okay, I wanted a Strat, so I bought a Schecter Nick Johnson. Love it. Better instrument for the dollar and happy with it. Doesn't say Fender on it. Yeah, you know what? Great guitar. That's one of those guitars I would love to review. Schecter was one of the companies that I just had high hopes for, as you know, as a huge Schecter fan, but they would send a couple guitars to the channel for review. I did those videos, did great numbers, but then I don't know if it's because I reach out. I always reach back out. It's not me. I reach out and just never got anything back. So, and so I bought a couple Schecters and put them on the show. As you guys know, if a company doesn't want to have a product on the channel, I just buy them and put them on the channel. But, after that, I have to prioritize that stuff. Obviously, the guitar that I just bought from Sweetwater is coming on the channel. It's not being supplied. As it works, right? More guitars. I think the more we can do better, the better. All right, Scott, you made me laugh. So, Groovy Music Lesson, Scott Grove says, should I get a power supply for my wireless transmitter? That is your humor for sure. That's awesome. I love it. You know what, Scott? You're worth it. I think you should get a power supply for your transmitter. Stop burning up those batteries, man. That's awesome. I didn't see him in the chat. Was he here earlier, or is he here? Is he here now? Did he go? He probably left the question and left. Let's see if I can see him. Oh, there he is. I see right there. So I almost want to make him a moderator, but I'm afraid like it'll be like Battleship, the game Battleship. He'll just be like, and you're gone. He doesn't suffer the fools very much. So some of you guys, it would not do well. Is my guess. That's my guess. Richard wants to know, what am I getting rid of as guitars come in? These aren't personal guitars for me. I don't have to get rid of anything. So Richard, the way it works in my world is like any given day, I could have a dozen guitars here that are just here for videos. And some of those, of course, are provided by companies. They're sent, some of them are provided by viewers. For whatever reason, like if we work out something where it makes sense to do that. And some of them I bought, but it's like a lot of channels, I'd still buy guitars for the channel. If you guys, obviously if you guys hanging out, you guys know YouTube. When smaller channels start out, they buy guitars and they put them on their channel, and then they get bigger and then companies give them guitars, right? Or send them guitars. It's like first they loan them, then they give them, then they pay them and give them. And then that's the evolution of it. And in my world, it works that way similarly. The difference, though, is that everybody has a different policy to run their channel, as they should. It's their channel. It's just like their life, their business, their world. Do what they want. Some channels have hey, if the company doesn't pay me or give me free product or some kind of compensation, they don't get they're not on my channel, because why would I promote somebody who doesn't like what I do or care what I do? I have no problem with that. That's a philosophy. It's great. My philosophy is I'm interested in what I'm interested in. You guys seem to be interested in what you're interested in. If that means it'll be, that's how I kind of level the channel. I mean, it's very easy to see. You can go and see real quick the products that you guys are interested in, that you guys say on this podcast I should get, or the products that I tend to buy on my own. Those have got a lot of views, which means there's a lot of interest in there. There's no money in that, because there's no money in the level of views channels that my size get. There's just not a lot of money in that level of views, right? I mean, I'm not saying no money. I'm just not saying there's not a lot of money in there. So, of course, it's way more profitable if a company obviously sends a product out or compensates you to get it on your channel. But I decided a long time ago that I'm just not going to wait for only the companies to send it, because otherwise every video, and I mean this with no disrespect to anybody, every video is a Donner video. Every video is a Glary video. Every video is insert the brand you see 50 times a week, because those people operate on really cool budgets where they're like, they get YouTube and they're like, hey, let's send out more guitars. But you guys don't want to watch that. And I don't disagree. I don't want to watch it either. Right? I don't mind one or two. It's nice to learn about it. I have a Donner. I bought a Donner. I have a Donner and I personally own it. I love it. That being said, I don't want to do 50 Donner videos, and I don't think you want to watch 50 Donner videos. And so that's, so what I did when I sold some pedals off for the gear exchange video I did for Sweetwater, I redeemed the money with a guitar that I could review on this channel, because that was great, because it was product that was sent to me, and then I sold it, you guys bought it, and then I turned that into more guitars, or more videos, right? More videos. It's the kind of ever-ending thing of more videos. There's never enough videos. I guess. I don't know. I like doing it, so it's the thing. I don't know. Alexander says, I like Donner. Yeah, well, they make good stuff. That's what I said. I don't pick on them. I'm just, so you know, and I only pick on Donner so you guys know. If Donner had their way, I would do 3 videos a week. No company probably approaches me as much as Donner is saying, hey, they would literally send me every product they have and I could just do a whole month of Donner products. And they wouldn't even care. They wouldn't care if that was, every video was a Donner video. They wouldn't care if as long as they did it. I just think you guys would, I don't know. I think we'd all suffer for it. My problem is my attention span ends after a couple of videos of the same type of stuff. No Name says, hey, Phil, what do you miss the most and the least about owning a music store? This question comes up pretty often, throughout the years. And I always like it because as I change and evolve and things go by, obviously I haven't worked in a music store since 2017. Technically, when I say 2017, that's actually not accurate because the store closed in April of 2017, but I physically probably wasn't in the store more than 4 or 5 times that entire year, and that was all previous to in January before NAMM show. Because once I came back from the NAMM show, I never went back to the shop, as the story goes, right? If you guys ever want to know that story, or if you don't know it, but that being said, what do I miss? I don't miss anything. This is the problem I've had. I've said this before. A lot of the customers I have from the store, I still talk to on the regular. A lot of them I bump into and have coffee with, right? Yesterday, I had coffee with Andy. He used to be the VP of Fender sales, and he now works in the industry somewhere else. And he's like, hey, he goes, why don't we have coffee? So we went to Scottsdale and had a cup of coffee. I still talk to tons of people that I know from my store. I met a lot of friends, a lot of customers are friends, a lot of vendors are friends, and I still keep in touch with a lot of them. And if you're watching right now, because a lot of you are old customers and you're like, you're not in touch with me, that's because I probably don't have your number. But if I saw you, trust me, we would hang out because I like I said, truly enjoyed that time. That being said, here's what I didn't enjoy about the store. That business, I have other businesses as well. And back then I had other businesses as well as somebody does, but that business took the most time by far. And the reason I justified that time was because it's something I enjoyed doing. So that was a 6 day a week, 10-hour day job is safe to say. So if that sounds like 60 hours to you, that's because it is 60 hours. And that right now I can hear my wife literally in my head going, no, it was more than that. So you have to understand as a father, that really cut into family time. So having a store for 13 years, what I can tell you is I worked all the time. And if I wasn't working, I was with my family. So I literally didn't do anything else. That time I never played in a band. I didn't play. That's why I stopped playing music to get all together. There was no time. There was no time for anything else that was personal. It was, as a father, if you were in the morning, it was like I can spend some time with my daughter before she goes to school. In the afternoon, I could spend some time with my son. I could come home for a long lunch maybe one day and pick them up from school and have an ice cream cone. And I never missed any of my daughter's dances or any of my son's extracurricular activities. Well, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that. But I missed out on a lot of their lives. So the second I had the opportunity, which is really what it was, to make a living not working all the time, and as much as I say now that I work a lot, I do, but there's no way that I work at the level I did back then, because my schedule is more fluid now. So even though I work a lot of hours, I can get up in the morning and work and then not work all day until I could get up and work for 2 hours and then take the whole day off until 9 o'clock tonight and start working at 9 o'clock tonight. What do I care? I can work at any time I want. I do it all the time. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning for some reason and I go, I guess I'm working, and I'll work from 3 o'clock till like 7, 8, and then I'll go take a nap and then I'll go back to work. So, that's what I miss and don't miss about the store. So there you go. I've always said this. What I really miss is repairs. I really like doing repair. It was really something that I enjoyed doing. And, and I stopped because of COVID, and I don't know if I'll ever go back to it anytime soon. And you'll know why in a couple weeks, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to get announced, and you go, oh, is that what he's doing with all the other massive amounts of hours of time he has when he's not doing YouTube? There you go. But that's a good segue. This is a good time. 4:48. So I had a patron ask me a question. I answered the question truthfully and honestly. And in the question, they seemed to really enjoy it. Actually, it was a couple patrons, but this is the important part of the story. The answer to the question, I made a statement that I would not answer a question like that on the live show. That is something I hold back. Right? And basically, they said, no, you should answer this. So the question was, if I was going to give the number one secret to doing repair, okay, and the secret to being successful as a repair person, and this is, and I want to give you, I never do this, well, one, I never tell you guys this, but I never give you the resume. And, I'm not a real big fan of that, the resume. If you notice, you don't see my videos and I go, I've been in this industry for 12 years and I've been repairing, and let me tell you why you should listen to me. I've never done that in the videos. I don't enjoy those videos. I don't enjoy when I watch a video and you're like, I've been a plumber for 16 years and let me tell you. I'm like, okay, I get it. Just talk and I'll figure out if you're full of crap. So, that being said, the question was, how do you become successful doing repairs? Successful in the idea that you can make a good living. Again, not eke out a small side income hustle or eke out some kind of living, because we had this question come up a few episodes ago when I asked how much does a repair tech make. What I gave you was some very truthful numbers, but what I didn't give you was the secret sauce of those numbers. In other words, the follow-up question I got from a patron was in that episode. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it. It was like, how much does a guitar tech make? And I threw out some numbers of how many repairs you can do and how much you make. The patron's question to me was, is that how much I made? And when I said truthfully, no, as a guitar tech, I would make almost double that. And they said, okay, how? And so I'm going to tell you the secret. So the secret is that most people get repair wrong. They don't understand the guitar luthier repair business. I don't know how I deciphered the code, so to speak. And some of you watching, because there's over 1,000 of you watching, and when it replays, I'll say something, whatever I'm going to say, a couple of you are going to go, I already knew that, as you guys like to do. So good. I'm glad you already knew it. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't know this because I see it all the time. And it's why I think the Guitar Center has failed as a repair entity. It's why I think a lot of music stores that have repair centers fail as an entity, because a lot of people don't understand how guitar repair works. So let me tell you how it works and how it doesn't work. So we'll start with what it isn't. What it isn't is like a plumber or a carpenter or I'm running out of things. Electrician. Here's why. Because why it's not like that is that most people, when they hire a plumber, they either hire the person that comes the fastest, that either charges the best price, or someone off a recommendation from somebody else. Okay. That is not how guitar repair works. So a lot of people say, well, how do you end up getting into guitar repair? And a lot of people are like, well, you do a lot of repairs and you put ads out. But what I learned is that if I was going to equate guitar repair to one business and one business only, it would be a hairdresser. So a guitar tech is exactly like a hairdresser. For those of you that are men like me that don't know what a hairdresser is, I will tell you, because I have a wife, and luckily from her I know what a hairdresser is. A hairdresser is not just a person who does someone's hair. A hairdresser is literally the only person that's allowed to touch someone's hair. If you ever hear a woman say, only Wanda touches my hair, and you will hear things that are different than anything else you've ever heard. You will hear things like, oh, well, are you going to get your hair done? No, Wanda is not there this week. She's on vacation, so I'm not getting my hair done till next Thursday, so we can't go out to the thing until she gets back and does my hair. That literally is how guitar tech, if you're doing it right, works. You don't have customers. You don't have customers. As a retailer, I had customers. As a lesson academy, we had students, which are our customers. As a repair tech, I had clients. Clients are different than customers. Clients are loyal. Clients only come to you for all kinds of reasons. I only let Phil touch my guitar. Why? Because he's the best tech. Maybe that's what they say. Mostly they say, I only let Phil touch my guitar. Why? Because he knows what I like. He knows what I want. He knows how I want this to be done. He returns the guitar back to me in a way that I want it done. This is a relationship you build with people. And you build that one relationship at a time, just like a hairdresser would. You literally go, every time you build one more client, you're building this legacy of customers who are only going to come to you. They're going to go, hey, I need to have my guitar frets done, but Phil's off for the week because he took his kids to Disneyland. I am going to wait until he gets back. Now, that's great, but it also becomes your curse if you try to expand your business like I did, where I was like, oh, I'll hire other techs. Well, guess what? They don't want those techs because only Wanda does their hair. And so they have to build their client list as well. So if you want multiple techs that are doing really good in a shop, each tech needs to build their own client list, which is why I do not love the Guitar Center business model of the way they kind of treat them. I don't like that business model, where it's not the same kind of vibe. Now, this is important because this is why the YouTube thing does not work with my that original business model of mine. Over the years, I built up a huge client list that still came to me, whether I have a store or I was doing it out of my garage. They still want me to do the repairs. However, unfortunately, when you're doing the other things all the time, it really kind of you're constantly giving them the reason why you can't do their guitar. So this is a conversation I had with a couple of the patrons, and they said, well, why don't you talk about this on the live show? And I said, I don't think that is something I want to tell people, because I actually think that's, again, some people are going to say, oh, they already knew that. Maybe they did. But I have learned, I watched over the years, me personally, over the years, many people fail at becoming a guitar tech because they focused on everything other than what I just said. When you did it right, when somebody comes in, the first time I knew I was going to succeed as a repair person in this industry was the first time somebody came in and brought a guitar to me and say, I came yesterday, you weren't here, so I left and I came back today. Because I don't leave my guitar with anybody besides Phil. And I was like, I knew it right then. I was like, okay, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to build my rapport with everybody. So that was what came out. It said, let's share it. I said, okay, I'll do it at the end of a show. This is part of that thing I told you that the patrons were saying, hey, maybe some of these shows we should end with like a tidbit like that or a funny story. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. So, next week, next week's show will not be on Friday. It will be on Thursday. It will be early because it'll be European-friendly time zone edition. The reason is because on my anniversary, I've been married for 24 years, is coming up next week, and I'm going to Elton John. My wife's like, what do you want? And I said, I want to go see Sir Elton John, and she's taking me to see that. And if you guys think that's cool, you're awesome. If you don't think it's cool, well, good for you too. You don't have to go. So I'm going, and it's going to be awesome. And because of that, I'm going to miss the show for the first time in a while. So we're going to be doing Thursday. But I'm going to tell a crazy story that everybody's been begging me to tell on the live show. It's going to be crazy. It's going to involve the Last Supper and it's the craziest story ever. Okay. So, are we good? Are we done? Did we finish the show? Did I get all the super chats? Did we get all the other questions? I think I have a couple super chats. So let me knock out these 3 super chats, no more, and then I'll try to grab one more quick question. Meester wants us to know subtitles are more better, fun to hear the other language, and the performance is better. I enjoyed it. Again, he's talking about One Piece. It was a great thing. Like I said, my son's really into that, so it's nice to share that with him. I have gone to so many of these things with him over the years, since he was a little kid to now, which, like I said, now he's old enough to drink beer, and he doesn't, but he's old enough to. And I've been going to these animation preview things in theaters for many, many years. And I've seen a lot of them. And I enjoy them. They're crazy, and I enjoyed them. Mr. G says, I need an acoustic I can leave in my classroom. It'll probably get trashed, so it's got to be inexpensive, but I still would love something that plays and sounds good. What are your recommendations? I really like a lot of brands for inexpensive guitars if you can find them. Obviously, I like the Orangewood stuff. I like Alvarez stuff. I like Yamaha stuff, and I like Fender stuff. I know we talk about the Fender problems, but I don't think the Fender acoustic problems will be tied into that because those are import instruments like all those acoustics I just named. Those are some of the brands I like for affordable acoustics. You can find affordable acoustics anywhere. Most stores have a ton just laying around used. Used is a great way to go. Just kind of go out there and play it. It's a tough thing. Acoustic is such a different animal than electric, where it's like electric, if you said a Strat, I could say, okay, try these brands and these Strats will be pretty reminiscent. I feel like acoustic, even if you buy a $99 acoustic, it's a very personal thing. I could try 20 $99 acoustics and literally feel like 3 were amazing and the rest were okay. So I would definitely put your hands out and try some. But those are brands that I like. So if you want to check into those brands. Nella says, I have no idea. This says, hey, Phil, Fender Telecaster weighs 9.5 pounds. I hate it. How can I make it lighter? Well, I wouldn't drill holes in it, but you can. Nothing you can do to make them lighter that I know of. The only thing I've ever seen people do is they take the pick guards off and they route out everything underneath the pick guard. Anywhere they can route stuff out, they'll route out material. You'll never be able to dig out a pound. You need to get at least a pound to get that down to 8.5, still heavy. So sadly enough, you got to sell it and get another Tele. Or Nuno Bittencourt once told me when I said, hey, your Purdue guitar is really heavy. Is that why you don't play it? And he says, heavy? Lift it over your head, man. Work out. So that was my advice given to me by Nuno Bittencourt. To lift your guitar over your head and work out. That was the advice he gave me. The advice I give you is probably sell it and get a lighter guitar. That would be what I would say. But you can lift it if you want. Okay. All right. I think we did it. Stan says to get a Donner. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot. Sorry, I'm just looking at kind of funny stuff. I'm not old. I'm not old. I'm vintage. Says, what are you getting, Mrs. McKnight, for your anniversary? No chance she is still listening. Well, obviously the Elton John's for both of us too. I asked for it, so she's doing that for me. I don't know what I'm getting her. I have no idea. That's not how it works. How it works, how gifts in my house work for my wife is like this. Hey, what do you think of this? Oh, I love it. Good, because you just bought it for me. Oh, cool. Oh, I know what I got her. I got her a chair. Now, I know what you're thinking. What? Yep. I went last Saturday and I bought her a chair. I almost forgot. It's, I should have remembered this because it's such an... So she wanted a chair, a special kind of chair. I don't know what that means. But it was a beautiful chair. And so we went to the Copenhagen store and bought her a beautiful chair. And they deliver it on the 8th. So it's a beautiful Copenhagen chair. So there you go. I like their furniture. It's very, very beautiful. And I don't know. I like it. So she likes it too, apparently, because she wanted this chair. So she got a chair. I don't know much about it other than I remember I thought, hey, man, I could buy an American Strat for that. All right. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go. Again, next Thursday will be the show. Next Thursday early, and we'll have some fun doing that. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this Friday. Have a great weekend. Play some guitar, and I will talk to you guys next week, and we'll share a funny story. As always, you guys have thanks for your time, and know your gear. And because everything's messed up, I don't know where my screen is. And see, now I finally say goodbye. Goodbye.